Republicans sure do love their donut holes. Really, seriously. Back in 2003, Republicans in Congress, with the help of President Bush, passed what they called the Medicare Modernization Act, which created Medicare Part D. Medicare Part D helps lower the cost of prescription drugs for Americans enrolled in Medicare through government subsidies. Let me translate that into English. Medicare Part D pays for your drugs if you're on Medicare. Unfortunately, there's a gap in how much the government is willing to pay for prescription costs under Medicare Part D, and that gap is known as the Medicare donut hole. For example, you spend up to $2,700 on prescriptions in 2009. The government paid for most, if not all, your expenses. But if you spend anywhere between $2,700 and $6,400 in 2009, those costs come straight out of your pocket. The government doesn't pay a dime because you're in the donut hole, right? If you hit $6,000 or more in prescription expenses, the government, again, picks up most of your tab. So fortunately, Obamacare addresses the Medicare Part D donut hole and is helping make prescription drugs under Part D more affordable. Thanks to Obamacare, Americans who fall into the donut hole will receive a $250 rebate within 3 months of reaching it to help pay for prescriptions, and there's a discount on covered brand name drugs and some good stuff, generic drugs, whatnot. The Medicare Part D donut hole is slowly being phased out and will be completely closed by 2020. But as one donut hole is closing, another one is opening up. It's the red state donut hole. When the Supreme Court ruled on Obamacare, Chief Justice John Roberts and the rest of the right-wingers on the bench left it up to the states to decide whether to expand Medicaid under Obamacare. And thanks to that decision, 25 states, which are either controlled by a Republican governor or have a Republican legislature, have refused to expand Medicaid coverage to their citizens under Obamacare in what are purely political moves. I mean, consider this. The federal government is paying 100% of the cost of Medicaid expansion all the way through 2016, and 90% of the costs after that. But as a result of the Republican refusal to expand Medicaid in those 25 states, around 5 million Americans aren't going to have access to health care in 2014 because they find themselves in the red state donut hole. So what does that red state donut hole look like? Let's take a look at Texas, where Governor Rick Perry has refused to expand Medicaid. In Texas in 2014, Medicaid will cover the health expenses of Texans who have a family of 3 and who make up to 19% of the federal poverty level, roughly $3,700 a year. You make $3,800 a year, you do not qualify for Medicaid. You're too rich in Texas. Seriously. But Texans whose annual income falls between 19% and 100% of the federal poverty level will be without access to health care under Medicaid. And they make up nearly 1 million of the 5 million Americans that fall into that red state donut hole. Texans who make more than 100% of the federal poverty level, that's $19,530, they'll be able to get health care coverage under Obamacare with a subsidy. And basically for free. So if you make between $3,700 a year and $19,500 a year, and you live in a blue state, you get free health care through the Medicaid expansion. But if you make more than $3,700 but less than $19,500 a year and live in Texas, you're screwed. The government won't give you a penny to help with your medical expenses because Rick Perry won't take that federal money. And pretty much the same is true in every other Republican-run state in the country. Thanks to partisan politics, 5 million Americans are being left without health care coverage this year in 2014. 5 million Americans won't be able to afford routine physicals, life-saving medications, or health care of any kind. And most importantly, 5 million Americans are being denied the services that they've already paid for with their own tax dollars. It's time for Republicans across the country to put politics aside and to put the interests of the most vulnerable of Americans first by fully expanding Medicaid coverage under Obamacare. Let's close that red state donut hole once and for all. Call your lawmakers and tell them that saving lives is more important than playing politics.